And then Yom Kippur. Okay, listen, stay there. Lots of people. I want to hear actually from a man who's been defending Ken Livingstone and also Naz Shah. We welcome George Galloway. Good morning, Mr. Galloway.
Good morning.
So first of all, let's take this to the difference between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. Much argument about this, much debate about it. Where is the line?
The line is Jew hatred, anti-Semitism, which is a misnomer, of course, because the Palestinians are Semites and the Arabs are Semites. But we know what it means, even if the nomenclature is not right. Hatred of Jews has a very long history, hundreds of years of pogrom, discrimination, bigotry, and culminating in the Holocaust, the biggest crime in human history. This is an existential threat to the very existence of Jewish people. This has always been the view of everybody on the left, or they weren't on the left. It is a phenomenon of the right, as you know, from Sir Oswald Mosley or Tory MPs dressed up in SS uniforms at their stag nights and so on.
It stretches right back, doesn't it, to the Middle Ages in this country?
Yes, of course. That's why I said hundreds of years of bigotry, discrimination, pogrom, especially in Central and Eastern Europe, and the Holocaust of millions of people in a genocidal attempt to eliminate them from the earth.
So what about Ken Livingstone? Should he have been suspended from the Labour Party?
Well, everything he said was true. So I know I was expelled for telling the truth about Iraq, but that wasn't under Jeremy Corbyn. How do you end up getting suspended from the Labour Party for telling the truth? You can be reprimanded for having unnecessarily toured the studios, and you could be reprimanded for going into this dark place rather than dealing with the contemporary issue that was raging. But to be punished for saying something which no scholar denies. I mean, the treaty is there in every major book on the Third Reich. The treaty is there. Hitler and the German Zionist leaders made a signed agreement called the Havara Agreement, whereby the Nazi filth would cooperate with the German Zionist leaders and ship German Jews to Palestine. And that's because both Zionism and fascism both believe that German Jews are not Jewish, French Jews not French, British Jews not British, that they are somehow
Mr.
aliens.
Galloway, I think that you're actually going off topic here.
Who are you?
I'm
sorry, who are you?
With respect, Mr. Galloway.
Who are you?
My name is Neil. I'm from Liverpool. I'm Jewish. I
All
never
right,
thought I'd be discussing
it's just
anything
we haven't been introduced, that's all.
That's fine.
I'm used to Nicky interrupting me, but not someone I don't know who's speaking.
Can I put this on my CV that I interrupted George Galloway? I just feel that you are pressing the wrong areas here. The issues are, and if I dare say, yourself and Mr. Corbyn are from a similar school, that, as I said before, I have no problems as a Zionist and supporter of Israel in criticising Israel for things that they do. I cannot recall Mr. Corbyn or yourself make comments about the actions of Palestinians, of Hamas, of Hezbollah, that is negative. It's always the fault of Israel. No state is without fault.
No state.
All right, George Galloway.
Yeah, no state is without fault. Neither Hamas nor Hezbollah are states. As to no one questioning the legitimacy of Jordan, you're currently speaking to someone who does question the legitimacy of all the fake states that the Sykes-Picot Agreement carved out of the Middle East literally exactly this month, 100 years ago. But neither is any political system possessed of some kind of right to exist. The communist system in the Soviet Union had no right to exist. To want to bring it down didn't mean one hated Russians. It wasn't Russophobia. Indeed, you could say the opposite, that the people, the Cold Warriors, wanted to liberate the Russian people from the Soviet communist system. So it's a ridiculous conflation of anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. Zionism is a political ideology, and many people are against it, including many Jews. This is a point that hasn't been made yet.
Let me ask you about Naz Shah as well. I'd like to, if you don't mind, just while you're with us, just to take it to domestic politics.
Sure.
Were they right to suspend Naz Shah for her suggestion that the Israeli people, Jewish people there, should be effectively transported to the United States?
Well, it was a teenage scribble on a Facebook post before she was an MP.
Months before.
It was a joke. It was an absurdity. Of course, that could never happen, will never happen. But the 800,000 people which your guest acknowledged were, as he put it, displaced, which is a very sanitized word, for having been forced to leave their homes and their land, that wasn't on Facebook, Nicky. That actually happened. And they've become millions now. And they are not living on Facebook. They're living in refugee camps. So no, she should not have been suspended. Her comments were foolish, but they were not anti-Semitic.
Isn't it the problem, though, just finally, and you've kicked off our thoughts very nicely on your call this morning. We're going to obviously be hearing from a historian and listeners with very, very contrary views. But listen, was it not Ken Livingstone's... This is what Alan Sugar said earlier on. He seems to be, Ken Livingstone, obsessed with Hitler, obsessed with the Holocaust, obsessed with Jews. The mere mention of Hitler was entirely unnecessary, wasn't it? And that's what has created this story.
Well, I don't myself habitually go there, and I wouldn't, if I were him as a Labour leader yesterday, have been in the studios at all. I'd have been wanting the Naz Shah affair to die down. But you can't be punished for telling the truth. Now, obsessed by Hitler, obsessed by the Holocaust, well, there are many people who are obsessed by that. Perhaps it's an age thing.
But he was no friend to Zionism, Hitler. He wanted to annihilate and destroy the Jews.
Ken never said otherwise. He said that Hitler supported the Zionist program, which he did in the Havara Agreement in 1933. That's a matter of fact. It doesn't mean the Zionists were Nazis or that the Nazis were Zionists, just that they cooperated in 1933 in that agreement. That's a matter of historical fact. But I was going to make the point, Nicky, it's a matter of age. Ken's quite a bit older than me, but I myself constantly reference the Second World War. It was our finest hour. It was the defining period, which has defined all history thereafter. It's difficult not to make reference to it, especially when someone is being accused of antisemitism, as Naz Shah was being accused, because you could hardly get a more foul, serious allegation than that.
You have given us some interesting thoughts. Thank you very much for coming on.
You're welcome.
Right, it's 9:18. We're going to get the view of...